have got ourselves in the bottom left corner. The blue Terran player representing the Shopify Rebellion, of course. We have ByuN. And in the bottom right-hand corner, our red Zerg player here is Dark, as we kick off into game number 1 of this best of 5 series. And we look to see what we can get going, what we will get added on in, what our players will do with these early stages of the game. I do think Dorado already, like I say, a fun map for these two to play on, and potentially that kind of map which can 100% go a little bit longer, right? This is a map that can get drawn out. It can definitely be, you know, I get a lot of bases, you get a lot of bases, we all get a lot of bases. So perhaps we have a longer game in store for us. We know that Dark can play a longer game. We know that ByuN can definitely turtle up and play a longer game as well. As we get ourselves our barracks coming up on the high ground, get that started here for a few moments. Overlord moving through the bottom side of the map, and this drone is already going to open up the gold mineral line over here. That enables access to the bottom side. We've seen a lot of Zergs that seem to prefer expanding through the bottom side of the map so far. So that looks as though it's going to be one of the cases again, as the drone returns a few minerals back into the main base. Reaper and the orbital command coming online here from ByuN, the hatchery and the pool coming up as well. As we just have those couple of drones going to keep nibbling and, like I say, work their way through. So he wants a nice fast third hatchery, no delay at all. And obviously, he has shown us exactly where he wants it to, being over here. As this drone will be the lucky one to become the hatchery, and our third base of Dark gets to start up right away here in game number 1. So the third hatch is starting. We do see on the other side, I mean, Reaper is going to start moving out. There's an Overlord that's going to come across to the left a little bit as well. Reaper will move over to the far right-hand side and, of course, go and harass. It is just a single barracks. ByuN, of course, very well known for his Reaper play. You know, you think back to the 2016 World Championship between ByuN and Dark in the Grand Finals, and Reapers were the story there. Funny that 8 years later, Reapers are still something we think of when it comes to ByuN. I think just the fact that this is still like a storied kind of series, and the fact that this series or matchup is still happening 8 years later is pretty incredible as well, as our Reaper will fight, and those Zerglings will take quite a bit of damage. First Zergling goes down, second Zergling. Ooh, not quite going down, but the drone will go down instead, so Dark loses a worker. And not the prettiest of early games so far for our Zerg player, who is going to be off to a little bit of a rough start there, as we have the Reaper just escaping out. A couple of command centers building up from ByuN, so he's going to go triple CC back at home, even building his third CC towards the gold area, so he can kind of move towards the bottom side of the map himself. So that seems to be where ByuN wants to aim for in the foreseeable future. There's Queen coming across, pushing that Reaper back once again, and just going to be seen again. A few drones continue to build up, and ByuN going to try and poke in with this Reaper moving in toward the natural for a couple of moments. Aliens building by command center on the low ground. Tech lab will start up on the main base. He's going to drop all that creep team, all those creep teamers down. The additional drones will come into play as well. So we just get all these little bits and pieces coming up for now here. We have got this Overlord of Dark continue to step forward as well. Stim pack building up. See the Marine already going to be there to push that Overlord back the other direction just a little bit. The two Hellions and a Reaper moving together will step forward as well. And they're going to threaten at the front. I mean, we've got a couple Queens here. The Hellions and the Reaper are going to turn back the other way. First drone building up, the extra drones in production. Overlord's coming through as well. Just have ourselves the extractors still building up as Dark. Obviously, with the Roach play being shown to us, I don't think that's surprising. He might open every game with Roaches. Opening Purling Bane is not a thing that Dark does as much anymore. I mean, he never did in the first place, and then he kind of went back to kind of doing it a little bit. He actually saw a lot of success against Clem with the Purling Bane stuff, when Clem was really on that very hot TvZ streak way back when. I mean, in a best of 5, if it goes 5 games, maybe we do see Dark stretch out and summoning Bane, but I think a lot of this is going to be him playing safe. He knows ByuN is preferably an aggressive player, and so if you can be aggressive yourself, you kind of take that aggression away from ByuN, and then you're taking away one of ByuN's strengths right from the start of the game, right? So I think that's one of the things that we'll probably see here as well. And the Hellions back in the middle, just going to see our Queen stepping away. Medevac Marines and the Stim pack coming up. Double Engineering Bay drops down from ByuN. in the back of his natural. So he gets the double engineering bay online. The orbital command is going to come and drop into the third base as well. So we do start to move bottom side of the map versus bottom side of the map. There's a potential for the Zerg to say, okay, well, if you're coming through the bottom, I'm actually going to focus a little bit more towards the top and start taking this base and this base. And if you start doing that, like I say, some potential there to maybe cause a little bit of trouble, throw a couple of hiccups into the plan of your opponent as our Marines will retake the watchtower. And we're going to be seeing even more Marines coming to retake the watchtower as well. ByuN will power up in the center here and just join everything together for the moment. Lings, Roaches, Queens gathering on up. +1 missile attack upgrade is coming through as well. As we will step forward and just knock down one creep tumor already. Now going to stim up. Going to be seeing the Roaches and the Lings going to step forward as well. The hatchery on this forward gold is going to be safe, dark. And that means it's something that ByuN has to consider. How are we going to go about this hatch? Are we going to let that happen? Are we going to, try and do something about it? Definitely questions we have to ask ourselves here. As a few more Marines and medevacs will get back toward the watchtower. They're going to settle down here for a moment. Actually going to turn into this group of Roaches before loading up and backing it away. So we will fall away there in the end. Again, +1 missiles and carapace. Link speed and Roach speed all building up so far. And these Marines are in a nice position to maybe hit gold, but also in a nice position just to clean up some creep spread. Get some active tumors, get some non-active tumors, and just in general make this position more engageable later. The thing is, especially cleaning up creep here, it gives you access to the back of the gold, right? So it's definitely a good position to be cleaning up on. It's definitely somewhere you can work with. Pretty happy to see that ByuN is going to prioritize that somewhat, because I do think he's recognizing the importance of kind of just not letting this gold base be a factor right now. The more you can do that, the happier and better off you're going to end up being. Roach speed and Link speed on the way. 1-1 missile upgrades and carapace upgrades coming online. A whole bunch of Roaches coming up. Overlords are building. As you have those couple of medevacs boosting back to the center a little bit. Roach Ravager on the watchtower as we continue to move. Load back up. Again, upgrade's going to finish in a moment from ByuN. Dark is matching him. ByuN just continue to try and find a dropping location with these medevacs. If you can find a way in, then brilliant. But Dark is making sure that that doesn't happen. And look at Dark stretching straight forward to the gold base in the bottom 6 o'clock. So he's going to take the gold base on the bottom again with this fairly aggressive army composition. We'll look to keep ByuN pinned back on his section of the lower portion of the map. I mean, ByuN might be able to take this gold base too. Can he push into this gold? I mean, it's not far away. You'd think he'd be able to, but I mean, we'll see how it all plays out, as we do have the Roach Ravager now going to step forward. Here we go. A couple of shots coming about. The Ling's already taking a bunch of damage. Siege tank fire going off again as the Roach Ravager takes an absolute beating so far. On the right-hand side, the medevac's going to come back through, load up those Marines once more, and just take them further into the main bases. A few more Zerglings coming through the front. They are going to get taken down as well, so they're also just going to get knocked out of here. As our Marines load back into the medevacs, they escape away just for now. As we lose a full one though, so the Queens are able to get the grab, and that's a full medevac going down. So that's a lot of units missing. As Dog breaks into the natural, so ByuN has to pull a defense over here. He's already killed a bunch of workers. He needs to now protect his own. If he can protect his own, it starts to turn into a pretty good position for you based on the fact that you've done some damage yourself. You step forward there, that Ravager goes down. 2-2 upgrades on the way out, +1 vehicle weapon, siege tank on the way. Roach Ravager still moving into the center. We're going to see a few corrosive files will drop in as well. A few of those Roaches still getting nabbed. The medevac's there healing. Turn around once again, and a couple of Roaches will take damage one more time here. +2 missiles, +2 carapace, all coming up. This Roach Ravager is still trying to step forward on the bottom side as well. Hits the siege tank down, but does pay for it with quite a few of the Roaches. They are not invincible, and they will be punished for having stepped into a Terran army there. Pain Nest and Infestation Pit both continuing online. The +2/+2 coming up on our Evolution Chambers. And we again take the middle of the map with this Roach Ravager army. Ready ourselves to see what we might do next as a scan comes in. Here we go. Ling Roach Ravager starts to step forward. Bio pulls back a little bit. A couple corrosive valves coming down. We're going to turn with that Bio Force. So the Roach Ravager moves into that mineral line. That's a lot of Bio going to step up and just going to go straight after the Ravagers. Bile after Bile coming through. Dark 160, 170 supply to the 130. 14 SCVs have been killed there. Once again, Dark continues to get workers with these attacks, and I think as long as you're getting workers, you're going to be pretty happy. Anything you're doing to slow down the Terran's economy, I think is overall a pretty big plus for you. So, yeah, I think that's all heading in the right sort of a direction. As Bio here will turn some Zerglings around as well. Just going to try and fight. A few corrosive files coming down once more. Things turn back to the middle of the map, and I'm going to start morphing into Banes big time here. 20 Banelings begin to morph in. +1 melee, Baneling speed, +2 power pace. Coming up and online. Marine's still stepping forward, and a couple Creep Tumors will go down with him here. And as the Ling Roach Ravager charges on in, the Bioforce is going to have to keep stepping away from this. Siege Tank's doing what they can, as the Roach Ravager will try and break through. Now ByuN trying to get this gold base up in the front as well. Trying to get a gold of his own. I mean, all of this is happening while Dark mines off of a double gold. So Dark's economy is just insane, especially considering he's playing off of the 72 drones only. And that's the thing, it's like, it may not be off the charts, but because it's off 72 drones, he actually has more army supply in play than he usually would, while having this level of income. And I definitely think that that's doing a lot to help you out here, if you're Dark. I actually think that's doing a lot to help you out, so... yeah, I think that goes a long way to helping. It just means that you have so much more army to keep trading with. Run-bys can be a little bit more committed to. And then ByuN has issues. As this is not even a completed wall still, Lings just stream into the natural. Keepers at least raised to protect the main base. ByuN pulls back to deal with it. Has to also protect his incoming 4th base. If you don't get a 4th base, then you're in trouble. Dark really is just kind of starving ByuN out of this game so far. There's a couple more Banelings go down. The Lings are going to be about. They're going to be getting cleaned up as well. The Bio there will get all of those Zerglings. 10 SCVs did go down. So a chunk of workers did indeed fall here. As we have our Adrenal Glands and +3 Carapace continuing to come up. +3 armor coming up on the Engineering Bay. +2 vehicle weapons coming by. Siege Tank and Marines in production still. Lingbane Ravager Force comes back over. Coming through, just going to be seeing a 3-3 coming up as well. Just going to be seeing a few of those Lings going to get tapped away at. The Bio still coming through. A couple of Banes going to get jumped on. Focus coming over as well. Ling Bane still making their way about. Siege Tanks going to get completely blinding clouded as the Ling Bane rolls on up. Those are nice blinding clouds. Those are going to completely coat the Siege Tanks right there. The rest of the Bio coming through. The Ling Ravager still being chased away. Orbital Command coming about, +3 armor coming through. And this Bioforce continues to just chase on in. Vipers are going to consume up the hatchery. We take the Watchtower. Now coming back through. 32 Lings in production. Ravager coming around. Settling on the Watchtower here for a few moments. Again, +2 melee, +3 Carapace coming over. The extra Banes all morphing forwards. I've got the Vipers looking to step in. The Medivacs overhead. Here we go. A couple of parasitic bombs going off. Medivac's going to get hit. Fire going to start spreading out as the Lingbane Ravager just pushes all the way through here. Dark is going to shove straight into this position. 10 SCVs, 11 SCVs going down at the moment. So damage will be, honestly, again, being taken by ByuN. I mean, he's just not coming out of any of these fights in any sort of an okay position, and that's the issue. Is he's just like, none of this is really going his way, none of this is really turning into his favor. ByuN has not really done anything on the other side of the map either. I mean, I'm going to look at the units lost here in a moment. We'll do it right now as the game comes to a close. GG called. We killed 13 drones. Remember that one attack ByuN had that killed some drones, and then instantly, you know, Dark was out there doing a whole bunch himself. I mean, kind of hard to really say much more than a Dark just kind of got rolling here on El Dorado, and he just didn't stop. Once he got started, Dark was just on 2, as we have got in the bottom right corner our blue Terran player who will trail this series by a map. It is done. Top left, our red Zerg is going to be Dark. Game 2 of our best of 5 as we get this going. Dark and ByuN, get started up. Might be one of the last times we see Dark. He's been a permanent resident here in the WardiTV Christmas Day Games. First did the Christmas Day Games in 2021, by the way. Where Dark was a runner-up to Rogue. This run back then was actually pretty cool. 3-1 Cure, 3-0 Clem. ByuN lost that one to Rogue in the semi-finals. 2022 came around. This is the one where Dark did not actually play. Serral did play. Serral won that one 4-2 against Max Pax. Last year, 2023, our third edition of the event, Dark made the finals again. He actually took down ByuN 3-1 in the semis after Showtime fell in the quarterfinals to him. And then he fell to Clem in the finals. So Dark's had two runners-ups in these Christmas Day games. Has yet to grab that that final victory in this event series. Cool to see some history though. The Christmas Day games as well. I was like kind of like, yeah, and I know our events are not the biggest events, they're not the most prestigious or anything like that. I do love just kind of, you know, somewhat following the storylines of them, even if they're not the most important. Maybe, you know, we're the only people that track them. I'm sure all the players aren't super, you know, I'm sure all the players aren't necessarily super into kind of following who won this WardiTV tournament back then. But for us, it's very cool tracking kind of who has been partaking over the years, who has won a few of these. All that kind of stuff, I think, is very neat as our replay does make its way to the upper left-hand side. Factory coming online, command center coming in. We get ourselves settled in here for it. Maybe we're going to go shooting at a few of those Lings. Grenade pops a few of the Lings off over to the side. Lings will continue to chase on the Reaper. Does get pushed away. A couple more Queens coming now. Drones in production. Reactor and the factory coming through as well. Just a couple of Lings coming about right here. As the Lings continue onto a set of rocks. Rock's taking some damage. Again, the Queen's coming through. Starport in production as well. Bring this around. Rack's going to drop into place. Command center building through. Starport coming up. Refinery coming online. As the Reaper pulls away back down the bottom into the center. And Starport and a couple of Hellions. Command center as well. All coming through with this for the moment. Get settled down. Couple of votes coming up. The drones and the Queen still coming through. Hellions and Banshee command center as well. Continue to add in as much of that as possible as those Hellions continue to just slip and slide through the middle of Neon Violet Square. Those squares making them take some interesting driving. Got to be a real top tier driver to be able to navigate those. The Hellions knock it out of the park so far. As the Banshee, the SCVs, the Stim, all continues to come up and around. Just going to have ourselves a couple of the Hellions coming over, so Hellions and Reaper will gather in. And he's just going to chase. Crypt Team are going to go down, so going to be seeing a couple of those Crypt Teamers getting fought upon, but I also lose a Hellion, so not exactly ideal for ByuN losing one Hellion for some Crypt Teamer battling, nothing else really gained. And the Creep is still there. The Creep's also coming down in front of the third base over here. Dark takes the backward half base. There's only half a set of minerals, so that's why you don't really see this base being taken in a rush by most players. There's the Reaper still gather up. Just going to be seen 1-1. Seeing the Stim Pack coming through. And additional barracks coming about. Reactor going to come on the starport over to the side. Factory gets going. And Roach is coming up. Missile and Carapace upgrades building. The Hellions and the Reaper continue to gather in. Let's go see the Banshees making their way to the top of the map for the moment. Away they go. 1-1 upgrade, Stim Pack, Siege Tank, Marines, bit of everything coming online to get this set up. Yeah, those Banshees going to try and make a play. And like I say, it's been fairly passive with only that one Hellion going down so far. Dark yet to even lose a unit. We use the Reaper to get rid of another Creep Tumor. Cute play there. Tries to find a Creep Tumor here. This is why he's attacking the rock, seeing if he can splash it, but it doesn't happen. The Banshees go around the back. Finally, some damage done to the Zerg. 2 drones go down, but the Banshee has already taken a little bit of damage, so not exactly ideal. As the Infestation Pit and the Hydra Den both continue through. The Banshees do escape through the top once more. Roaches in the center. I mean, Dark going to play Roaches with Hydras in the Infestation Pit this time. It's already looking towards... It was definitely a bit of a later game kind of setup than what he played last time, which was a bit more kind of aggressive in your face. I'm going to keep pushing you. Roach Ravager Ling. This is definitely looking like, hey, I get it. I'm not going to end the game on this one, but let's see what I can do. Those couple Banshees still float about here for the moment. Link speed coming through. The Roach speed is on the way in. Groove Spines coming up. The Spore Crawlers coming by. And we do have the Banshee just going to whack onto one of those spores for a moment or so as well. Fire out around the bottom. Banshee's going to get rid of some Creep Tumors. Damage being done. Marines, tanks, medevacs. Moving up into the center. The little Changeling going to step forward here from Dark as well. It's just going to bring that straight by. Again, the Armory coming up. Siege Tank and Marines coming over. Hydras and the Hive continue to build. Well, scan comes up. Some Creep Tumors will begin to get knocked down. The Overlord taking some damage as well, so that will fall. As we just see our Marines able to get rid of a few Creep Tumors there, so a little bit of damage dealt. Again, another Creep Tumor going down. Marines continue to settle in as the creep gets cleaned up once again. I mean, ByuN with a good little push to get rid of some creep. Do we have enough to really step forward and try and take more of a fight? I don't really think so. I don't think the Banshees necessarily did enough. I think it's one of those scenarios where you're probably just going to have to hold back a little bit and then wait for even more units so you can kind of multi-prong it a little bit more heavily. I think just trying to go right now is not exactly going to be super successful for you as the Marines step up. The Overlord is going to go down. The Hellbat in the front as Roaches and Hydras still coming by as well. Marines hitting a lot of those Roaches and Hydras, but I think the DPS available there is just a bit too much. ByuN makes a run for it. It's hard to chase through those blocks as well, right? So you can sit on the other side of these pretty comfortably and cozily as ByuN and be pretty much just fine. Don't think there's an issue with that after retreating away. And you have the Viper count continuing to build up on the side of Dark. So he's bringing those Vipers up, the Lurker Den, Nidus Network, a few bits and pieces there as the Marine tank continues back through the middle of the map for the moment. They'll scan. Roaches and Hydras. Going to take some shots. Sense Tower coming through. Additional Marines coming about. 2-2 upgrades plus 1 vehicle weapons all coming online. Those tanks will continue to press forward here. Let's just see the Roach Hydra Force still trying to make its way by. Just going to be seeing the Ghost Academy coming up. The factory coming about. Those 2 medevacs of ByuN are going to load up and go to the right-hand side, unloading on the low ground. As our Marines step through, Roach is going to take a lot of damage. Lurker going to get jumped on as well, so one Lurker falls, the other Lurker is going to try and get position once more. ByuN again going from high ground to low ground, making the Zerg run while he can kind of just drop across super easily. Has been the plan of our Terrans so far. This is what I wanted to see from ByuN, a little bit of action that tries to pull Dark around a little bit, and being just very smart with the positioning and movement. Ling's going down. The Vipers trying to do something, but they get turned back around again. They'll get chased away. Plus 2 Carapace still coming up. Adaptive Talon's going to give the Lurkers a better upgrade. We're going to see a Nidus right in the back of ByuN's base, but Marines show up, and that's going to be a denial. So nice attempt from Dark. Good to see that he's also thinking about what he can do around the map. ByuN is on top of it. And Overlord sneaky. We're actually going to see another Nidus now in the main base. Do we have anything over here? A siege tank on its way. Looks as though that's going to be pretty well figured out as well, so no issues in cleaning that up. Alright, so the first Nidus attempts to not go anywhere as ByuN settling into 5 bases now for himself. Playing very defensively on the kind of front lines, if that makes sense, right? Like, just letting the kind of map do its thing. There's choke points you can hide behind and ledges. The Vipers do a great job to knock down a couple of those siege tanks, but it did come at the cost of one of the Vipers, so it wasn't free, and ByuN is able to at least get some value back out of it. Freight 3 coming up, plus 2 vehicle weapons is on the way in. The Nidus network will set up. The Overlords are still coming up as well. Let's just have Manson is still building through. The Marines actually going to fight here again. Roaches and Hydras taking some more shots. Manson is building up across the board. Going to see another Nidus network coming down. Bell gets that settled in as well. Just having ourselves the medevacs and CCs all coming through. And ByuN absolutely accepting the later stage of this game that it's heading to. In with regard to the fact he's building 4 command centers at once. Gonna catch this Nidus as it comes up. We'll get some snipes off, but actually it's not good enough. He loses a bunch of goals, loses a bunch of ByuN. Dark wins this. That is huge as one Roach gets knocked down. The Hydra's still pulling back. Ghosts, tanks, medevacs coming through together. 3-3 upgrades on the way through. 12 lurkers will morph in for Dark. As we move to this far right-hand side, those lurkers will continue to put some work in. Command center taking damage, the refinery taking a few shots as well. But the Knight is just going to come popping up. Our tanks will try and push forward once more. Lurker's going to go Hydra's going to go diving forward, lunging through. Again, Ghosts and tanks continue into play as our Lurkers will hit those refineries. Rockets on the left-hand side going down as well, taking a lot more damage. The Overseers is going to fly straight in toward the main base. There's the new Nidus in the main. We are going to have units, just need to actually target down the Nidus. Get the changelings afterward, right? Priorities, priorities. Lurkers do get burrowed up and they're going to settle here. You see a couple snipes coming down. Surprised we didn't get a snipe on the Viper. Would have been nice to just knock that away. I feel like Dark continues to get very good trades. Resources loss is about 800 in his favor, about 1,000 now, give or take, in ByuN's favor. So it's pretty good trades for Dark, because a lot of the time you can see the Zerg be thousands of resources behind. And now putting himself into some very fun positions as he's threatening from this high ground, hitting this base on the low ground. And obviously, while he's keeping ByuN busy, he takes the map. ByuN is not dropping. He's not doing anything to try and oppose his opponent to kind of expanding here. And so Dark is going to get away with a lot of that for now. You see another Nidus at the bottom left. 7 Lurkers coming up. Concussive shells coming through, plus 3 vehicle weapons on the way through. The siege tank still in production as well. Ghost going to line up a couple more snipes. There goes a Lurker. I mean, ByuN has built up for this stage of the game, right? We saw him out in the command centers. We saw him setting up to be in the later stages of this game. So ByuN is very ready to accept the fact that this has entered the later stages. I don't think that's a doubt in my mind right now. The question just becomes, how well can he then handle these later stages? Can he take the trades that he needs? This is a nice set of snipes. He actually got a lot of damage on Lurkers there, including a few kills. So those are snipes that go a lot better than what we were seeing previously. The hand is still coming up. The Nidus combo will continue through. All 3 of these Niduses coming in. Gonna get taken down. The Lurkers is going to start spawning through. Just going to start fighting against those. The siege tank going to get taken out as well. The ByuN still fighting. Lurkers still dealing some damage going back the other direction. 9 SCVs going down already as, again, the factories and the tanks all continue to come on by. These workers will make their way through this main. And this is why it was so important before that ByuN was pretty on top of the Nidus networks, because the moment that Lurkers get out in good numbers to your main base, you're in a lot of trouble, especially in a game where you're playing Ghost heavy and not Liberator heavy. Because with Liberators, you might have been able to siege this up and slowly push it back. With Ghosts, it's just that much more challenging, and already the main base orbital gone. Production up in the skies. You know, these are things which you can probably replace to some extent, but it's a heavy cost, and it slows you down in more ways than just the investment of money. It's going to slow you down massively in terms of time. It gives Dark so much freedom for the next minute or two while ByuN resettles down. And that means that, I mean, I don't think Dark was necessarily worried or concerned in the first place. Now the Niduses are going everywhere else as well. That's actually great. 2 Niduses here, then he's going to Nidus the right side for an escape route. He just doesn't have high ground vision, I believe, to actually shoot up onto the high ground to those ghosts that are attacking him, but just another base that gets hit, and again, Dark uses this as a distraction. Now he slams into the center of the map. The Lings running straight through. The Siege Tank's taking an absolute beating. The Hydra's getting there as well. The Lings off to the side. I mean, like I say, Dark is just starting to be everywhere. He will lose pretty much all these units. The last lurker or two will burrow in the corner and just force a scan even, right, to something extra. But yeah, just trying to get the absolute most out of everything. A new round of lurkers start up. Dark is not rich, and now resources lost is going to favor ByuN a lot more heavily. However, Dark has denied the main, he's denied this pocket base, and he's expanding massively in his own way. So it starts to get massively better. In fact, right now, as the Tunnel of Ducks brings that siege tank further forward too, the factory lifts off the tech lab, going to move over to another tech lab. As the high-tech auto attacking, Neo steel plating continues to come about. Go snipe, hits the lurker there. Just going to be seeing a couple of changelings will go down as well. So they will fall as the +2 melee upgrade continues in. That's a lot of Zerglings on the way up from Dark. On the far left side of the map, we've got Nidus networks galore here, there, and kind of everywhere as they set up as well. 13 creep tumors all spreading forward. The orbitals setting up. Barracks is going to drop into the front, drop down at Tech Lab, the rest of the Bioforce, the tanks as well. I'll try to go make something happen. Bio going to go, just going to grab a lurker already, just going to see these 3 ghosts, going to go after the Nidus as well. Snipe, snipe, coming through. This Nidus network goes down also, so just going to be able to pick that off as, again, the +2 vehicle plane, the sensor tower, all coming online. The Hydras are going to go lurching forwards. We have ourselves +2 melee. Halfway done from Dark at this point as well. +2 vehicle plating, also coming online. Now a lot of these Lings just going to run around the right-hand side here. Siege tanks are going to fire onto them, but the Lings are going to get a wraparound, and a lot of those tanks will continue to drop, although, to be fair, the tanks did pretty good at playing cleanup. So I actually thought that was going to be a little bit worse. You do scan out one final lurker over here, going to get cleaned up now. So that lurker will go down also. Orbital lifts off again. The few changelings will step through. Just going to be having the siege tank whacking those changelings down, so they will fall. Again, +2 melee, 8 swarm host, 26 creep tumors. Holy goodness! All spreading forwards, all coming to the front. Once again, the refineries commence, and this Hellbat Viking Liberator +2 vehicle plating needs to come around. Nidus in the top right-hand side going to get set up also. Bottom left, you're going to see another Nidus coming into place. Battery will take position also as, again, the Hydra Bane, CS2, coming across to the far right-hand side, ready to start pushing about as the siege tank fires, and a few Lings already taking some big hits. The Locusts jumping up into the sky, and they're going to come stepping forward too as the Hellbats pick their way through a whole chunk of Zerglings. The Locusts dropping in nice and quickly. Got some good damage done already on the right side. Another lurker gets picked off also, so that is also going to drop here. And again, we continue to have the Overseers, Hydras, Banes looking to step on forward. Changelings going to step in as well. A few of those Changelings already going down. Now the Bio comes through, just going to go jumping onto the Nidus networks. That Nidus will fall. Bottom left-hand side, some more Niduses continuing up into place, and the Bio will get there for another Nidus as well. Siege tanks dropping as the Hydras and the Banes just work their way through, and Dark will not let the right-hand side of this map get heavily established at all. Gunnar on the other side might be able to work his way through this base and at least get this shut down. A chunk of these drones immediately going to be in some trouble as the Bio will sit here. This hatchery should indeed be dropping. should go down without too much issue. Again, the rest of the army back around from the center over to the left. Multiple Niduses coming in here as the Link Hydra again chases forwards. The siege tanks are going to get to work as we drop some of the Bio and Ghosts out once again. The Hydras are still stepping forward as well, and they're going to get wraparounds on these siege tanks. The Overseers continuing to try and step up. Same +3 melee coming over, 52 Lings, the Nidus network's building. Now we have swarm hosts. So funny. So now the swarm hosts are kind of being a factor as well, which didn't have my kind of name ideas on that one. Is yeah, sure. I mean, if you swarm hosts to harass efficiency at this stage of the game, if you can actually get efficiency out of them, then why the hell not? It is supply that gets taken up though that maybe could have done a lot better for you. We step forward again, the Ling Bane will come rolling through, the Ghosts are going to split apart, those Banes are going to continue to try and chase forward, 10 drones going down for now. Again, we got the 5 siege tanks building up, +3 vehicle plating coming in. Let's just have the Hydras lunging about as the Lings are going to get there, clean up some of the siege tanks as well. We pull all the way back, a look goes down. You're going to see those Overseers still up in the sky, and we chase on forward down to the bottom right. Festus continue to produce. Gonna see double Nidus network. Once again, the Nidus have been a big part of this game. How many have died in this game? 35 Nidus heads have been killed. It's a pretty ridiculous number, right? There's a lot of those Niduses that have been getting cleaned up. Neuroparasite coming in on the infestation pit. 9 more Infestors in production. Siege tanks and Hellbats producing through as well, +3 vehicle plating. Once again, the Ling's going to come chasing on forward. Siege tanks getting surrounded. A couple of Banes are going to sit nearby. Hydras are still getting through. The factories are going to get jumped on. Again, the Lurkers are still firing away. For the moment, is we just have the rest of the Lings pulling back. 14 SCVs go down. ByuN is now on 21 workers in this game. 23 minutes on Neon Violet Square. It's just a game where it feels like Dark is kind of dominated, right? Like, there's been moments where ByuN's cleaned up a base here or there, especially in the last 5 minutes. He's been getting across with some counterattacks, but outside of that, like, Dark has just been controlling this game start to finish. This has been kind of going to Dark's beats, and Dark has, like I said, set himself up very nicely throughout this, as that's a fungal growth going down in a bunch of those siege tanks, make it a second fungal as well. I mean, ByuN is trying to push, but pushing with unsieged tanks is not exactly the the dream scenario that I feel like we're holding out for. It's fair to say this is not exactly looking pretty for ByuN. Is, yeah, you try and move forward with a bunch of tanks. The Logos are genuinely going to have a good fight here. The Fungals were very good. Yeah, I mean, even if you don't fully clean up, the reinforcements for the next wave should be more than good enough, as the Hydra's going to step forward again. Just going to be seeing the Ghost going down. The siege tanks are still dropping. Don't think there's much to add to this. I mean, right, I mean, you're pushing forward with unsieged tanks. That's how desperate ByuN is out. Looks as though Dark is going to net himself a 2-0 lead in this best of 5. Just saying, guys, it's getting kind of a little bit crazy. I mean, Dark going to be up 2-0. We're going to have to start spinning this around if he wants a chance to advance. And, I mean, to me, like, I think ByuN can do it. I do not come into this series. I don't know if I did favor ByuN coming into this, but I felt pretty good about him putting up a good fight for sure, because, like I say, never 100% sure where Dark is at right now. He's not playing as much as he did before, but obviously he was already at a very high level. This fight's extremely drawn out, but the point is going to be put across in the end, which is that it's GG, and Dark will take game number 2 and be one map away. El Dorado, Neon Violet, Abyssal. These are all maps where you can see 3, 4, 5 bases being taken very comfortably and just sort of, you know, end up sitting there. Let's see what we get here. As in the top left corner of the map, the blue Terran player representing the Shopify Rebellion. This is ByuN. He takes on the red Zerg in the bottom right corner. Dark, who is up 2-0, a map away from the semis. Again, Shin is waiting in that semi-final to play whoever wins this series. If Dark wins, we'll be going straight into Shin versus Dark for our first semi-final as well. By the way, guys, again, I mentioned this a couple times, but in case you're just joining, TLDR, this is the bottom portion of the bracket, but we'll do the semi-finals in order of what I think builds up to a better, builds up a bit more hype toward the final. Clem Heroes are top semi-finals. It's kind of hard to top that, so especially if it's TvZ. We will do the bottom semi-final first, and then go from there. At this plan, I do this a lot in my tournaments nowadays, where if I have the freedom of kind of being able to cover one or the other, we always try and do the maybe slightly less exciting one first, and then go from there. So yeah, just applying that to our Christmas Day games. As our hatch and our gas and our pool all coming online here from Dark, a couple of drones are on the way out, the Marine and the Orbital Command will build as well. The SCV comes to the natural. It will move about and poke about for just a little bit. Drop a CC straight in here. So Command Center starts up, that gets underway. And that Orbital Command coming about, Factory and the Command Center coming online as well. Continue to bring this CC through as take a couple of moments. Couple queens building up on the side of Dark, so we'll get that on the go. Overlord still poking towards the top, gonna get in toward the natural. A lot moving about. Overlord just gets up to the top. Just going to be seeing a few drones mining away. Hellion just going to come over. Couple of Marines coming about. Medevac is on the way through. Ling Speed, Queen will continue to produce for the moment as we get settled in. And Medevac, Hellion, and the Marines all building up. So ByuN will look for some pressure in these early stages here on Abyssal Reef. Following this Hellion around. There's a lot of Lings already heading around the left. If ByuN goes with the Medevac and the Hellions and he's across the map, these Lings could counterattack in for a huge amount of damage. It's one of these things where you're like, why the hell do you have Lings at this point? And Dark's like, well, but sometimes I catch you off guard. He's going to try and run into the main base. He gets in. Oh no. Even worse. Now you're going to get the main base SCVs and you can get some damage on the natural. Everything has to turn around and run back here. 4 SCVs, 5 SCVs already. And again, one of the main parts of this is that all these units have to turn around and come back home, so it's going to delay you from attacking. And a bunch of the Lings get out alive as well. Dark took his moment to actually get out of there. Runs a couple Lings back up in the main, so keeps distracting the units as well. Go pick off that Overlord. Overlord will be going down. The rest of the Lings make their way across for the moment, heading down to the bottom. As we just start an armory here from ByuN, I think he's like, okay, well, I don't know if this was his initial intentions, but he's going to drop an armory down now. This was not a pretty start for him. Now he's going to try and hellbat it up. Once more, we've got Zerglings that are going to threaten. Up the left-hand side, a couple of Hellions are going to be there. Hellion's going to run over. Hellion's going to take some damage. Not exactly ideal. Marines step back. A few more of these Zerglings coming around as well. Just going to be seeing the Lings continue to jump in. The Marines do fall away on that. The Hellion's going to defend. The SCVs pull in and get the cleanup as well, so that's going to be easily done. Dark is already been in such a good spot. Now, he does give up quite a few Lings. 24 of them went down. Rotor and Starn probably isn't here in time for the Hellbat time, but the Lings are going to threaten again, so Dark's going to buy himself even more time. Come on, man. ByuN, this is not it. This is not it at all. This is all going wrong for him, as this entire series at this point, I think it's fair to say, is kind of tippling away from him. Things move across the bottom left side. Spore Crawler, Roach Drone, Blair. Continuing up 2. Greens and the Hellions make their way to the bottom. The Ling's going to run in the left also. Just going to come straight through. Going to jump onto the command center. SCV is going to go. Oh my god, that's a kill, not a cancel. Open access to the natural as well. There's a Banshee here that will eventually defend, but as ByuN presses forwards, he is in probably just all-in territory. I mean, he's going to take a bunch more damage to these Lings. He needs to do serious work, and there's an army of Queens waiting to greet him. Roaches spawning. ByuN's actually adding on a second armory and starting to go mech upgrades, but he's also just going to say GG. He lost so much. He got completely duped in this game, and he just is not going anywhere, especially as Dark starts to spam out unit production. ByuN will not have a chance, and Dark 3-0 as ByuN comes in and makes a